So today's video is going to be a little bit different than previous videos. We're still going to shoot some baits in the first half of the video, but the second half of the video we're actually going to put those baits in motion. A buddy and I the other day went out to our local lake and finally were able to get together and do a little fishing. We were trolling. We each had 3 poles. That's what we're allowed here in Indiana. And we each had a double jig rig. So 12 baits between the 2 of us. All the baits performed, but there were 2 baits that stood out over the rest today. Those are the 2 baits that we're going to shoot today. So I wanted 2 different profiles. I wanted a curly tail profile and I wanted a paddle tail profile. The first mold that I chose was the 2.2 inch Epic Whip Wad. There you go. By Epic Bait Molds. There it is. 2.2 inches. Curly tail. The second mold I chose is the 2.3 inch SlayBait by Epic Bait Molds. And this one here has the paddle tail profile. This is the color that performed well on the Whip Wad. I didn't have this color poured in the SlayBait, but I want to pour that tonight. So let's go ahead and get this. We got 1 cup, so we're going to start off with 1/8 of a teaspoon. And as far as the flake goes, it's all gold. That's it. That's how the bait was when I was using it. That's how we're going to keep it. So these will all be 1/16. So we're going to go this 0.015. Actually, this may be 0.008. But I'm going to think it's 0.015. And then we're going to go some 0.030. Like a white gold. It really reflected good the other day. And then we are going to put in some of this gold whisker glitter from Barlow's Tackle. We're going to do 1/16 of that. We're going to do a little heaping 16th. Actually, you know what? On the whisker glitter, we're going to double that up. Okay, let's mix this up and see what we've got. Let's take a look at this, see what we think here. I think we can go another 1/16 of this smaller flake, and I think we can go another 1/16 of the 030. And there we go. See if I can get that knife from you, so you can see what we got. But as you can see, that is beautiful. On the gold, I had an orange tail, and it just looks really good, and apparently the fish thought so too, because they kept attacking it. I'm gonna pour this a little bit hotter to try to get a good bond between the tail and the body. So normally I'd pour maybe around 330, but we're going to pour closer to 340, 350. As you can imagine, there's not a whole lot of plastisol needed, especially since the tails are in there. All right, okay, molds are cool. Let's check them out. All right, there's the 2.2 inch Whip Wad. There we go. That right there was definitely one of the top performers, if not the top performer. You'll see in the video. This tail here does really good on this. A lot of movement. When you pull it through the water, you can just see this thing going crazy, you know, spinning around. This thing here was just showing up really good in the water. And here are the SlayBaits. I didn't have a golden orange SlayBait, so I can't compare, you know, the different profiles. If this thing does anything like the Whip Wad did, they're going to hammer that too. Okay, so this color here is a pretty well-known color. People love it, and it's monkey milk. This here is by Bait Plastics, and we are going to do 45 drops starting off. Look at that. Very nice. You got blue highlight in there. Well, that didn't come out in drops, so I really have no idea how much we have. But let's hope it's not too saturated. Here, all we're doing is putting in black flake. Very fine 008 flake. We're gonna go 1/8 of that. Okay. We're gonna go 1/8 of the 030 black flake. Okay. And we are gonna continue on with our large 0.0125 flake. Now this is something that it doesn't normally get put in here, but I have been on a kick lately, and I think this stuff looks pretty good. You just got to limit yourself how much you put in. So let's test that out first. You only want 2, 3, maybe 4 big flakes in each bait. At least I think that's what looks good. I mean, again, it's not what we like, it's what the fish like. Now see, I'm not even getting any big flakes. There's one. So we may actually go just a little bit more. We're getting plenty of the other flake. There's some. Let's spin that. Let's mix that up a little better here. May have fell to the bottom. Okay, we're gonna go just a hair more. We can always add more later. There we go. Just like last video, I was saying a lot of people are starting to put this in their bigger baits, but I've not seen very much of this large flake. Actually, I've not seen any of this large flake in smaller baits until I did it last week. There we go. Now we're starting to see some every single, almost every single one. So I think we're ready to go. Okay, again, we're going to shoot this a little hotter so the tails on the body bond. It's about 345, 347. So that extra heat should help that. Bond. All right. All right, molds are cooled. Let's take a look. There we go. I tell you what, the man, monkey milk and chartreuse. So you can see all the flake. No actual big flake is in this one, in this piece. But everything else looks great. Tell me what you think. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about some decent contrast, I mean, there you go. But I think that looks good. I think the big flake actually does well on the smaller baits. When you pour the flake in the smaller baits, you're probably not going to get it in every single bait, okay, because we're not putting tons of it in. Here's another piece. They're turned sideways in this one. But yeah, I think that looks good. There we go. Now it's totally up to you if how many drops you want to put in. It's supposed to be 45 to 50, but that was coming out really runny, so I don't know how many drops we actually got in there. That is nice. That is a good looking bait right there. Holy cow. Let's flip it over. There you go. There's some of the big flake in there. I think it looks really good. Again, good contrast. And we didn't saturate it with it. Just a few pieces here and there. Let's pull another piece out. Or another bait out. There we go. That looks good. Blue highlight. Really showing through there. You can still see the small flake. Yeah, there's nothing you can say bad about that right there. That is a good looking bait. And when you watch the video, you can tell the crappie thought that was a good looking bait also. So what are my thoughts on how everything turned out? Well, it turned out great. As you can see, we caught a lot of fish. For whatever reason, on that particular day, at that particular lake, under those particular conditions, the monkey milk and the orange and gold, they stood out above the rest. Like I said, I think we caught fish on all the baits we had. But those two, for whatever reason, stood out above the rest of the baits. In other words, the fish spoke to us and told us what they wanted. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Keep on hooking.